Hey everybody, and welcome to the David Sachs Show. This is a bonus recap of yesterday. We're not going to usually do this, but I just think after what happened yesterday, it's irresponsible not to. There was just so much in the sports world yesterday. So our next official episode will be Monday. By the way, that was A-Punk by Vampire Weekend. That's what we started you guys out with today. And let's just jump right in. The main reason that we are doing this bonus episode today is because of Derek Jeter. Without a doubt, what a special day that was. We're going to start the day with looking back at yesterday's episode. We're going to start this show with what I got right. And that was Derek Jeter's final game in the Bronx happened yesterday. And yesterday I said on the show that I wanted Jeter to have a marquee moment. I wanted him to do something special. And wow, did he come through. If you were watching that game, goosebumps. I actually wasn't watching the game, but I did hear about it. And seeing the replay of it, goosebumps. Absolute goosebumps. A walk-off hit in his final game in the Bronx, and it just doesn't get any better than that. First at bat, he hits a double off the wall that I thought off the bat was gone. I thought that was going off the bat. I thought that was going to be the marquee moment, and that would have been good enough, I think, for any baseball fan. And then he comes through like that, and he gets the game-winning hit. That was tremendous. That was so Jeter-esque. That was Derek Jeter, man. That was Derek Jeter. That was incredible. Kudos to Derek. He's got 3 games left. Now, the interesting thing that came out of after the game yesterday was that apparently Jeter, that was Jeter's last game at shortstop yesterday in the Bronx. And I have a little bit of a bittersweet reaction to that. I definitely see where Derek is coming from. What he's trying to do is he wants everyone who spent the crap load of money they had to spend, all the Yankee fans, he wants them to be able to say, I saw Derek Jeter play shortstop for the last time. And so I definitely see what Jeter's doing there, but at the same time, I'm not sure how I feel about it. Really, I'm not, because, well, Derek, it's going to be his last game, and I think in his last game, it would be entirely appropriate for him to maybe make a nice play. But look, who am I to tell Derek Jeter how to run his career? He is one of the greatest players of all time. I was actually talking with my father about this. We came to a conclusion. I believe he is one of the top 30 players of all time. He's 6th on the all-time hits list. He's definitely not the 6th best player of all time, but he is a top 30 player of all time. And to quote my father, there was a time in his career where, in a clutch moment in the postseason, you didn't want anybody else up besides Derek Jeter. So a great Bronx farewell. Just a lot of emotion and festivities. Snapchat had a special thing for Jeter, and yesterday was finally a day where you had regular season baseball and regular season football. And I think regular season baseball beat football out. I really do. Derek Jeter was the top story yesterday. And what a great moment leaving the Bronx. Anyway, I want to keep this short and sweet. I do not want this to become a full episode. So we're going to move on to the thing that I was wrong about. Anyone who listened yesterday also got to hear me talk about how awful the New York Giants have been this year, how bad Eli Manning has been, and how the Redskins have actually not been too bad. And how I really did think, I went out yesterday and I flat out said that I think Washington was going to win the football game. Well, that didn't happen. Let's just say that did not happen. Anyone who watched that shellacking yesterday saw the Giants put on an absolute show. I also said yesterday on the show that I thought Kirk Cousins really was better than Robert Griffin III. I don't know what to think after yesterday's performance from Mr. Cousins. Kirk Cousins had one of the worst games I've ever seen by a quarterback. You just look at his quarterback rating yesterday was 13.9. 13.9. I'm just going to read his stat line. 19 for 33, 257 yards. That's not that bad. Here's where it gets bad. 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions, also had a fumble, and, am I reading this correctly, was he sacked 14 times? Is that correct? I'm just looking at this box score here. Was he really sacked 14 times? No, he couldn't. Apparently Washington only had 1 sack yesterday. Here, they're confusing stats from ESPN. But, nevertheless, I don't know what this 14 is. So sacks 2 for 14. But bottom line is this. Kirk Cousins was absolutely awful. And meanwhile, on the other side of things, Eli Manning, who I said was no longer elite, looked pretty elite last night. 28 for 39, 300 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception for a quarterback rating of 97.5, which is almost perfect. Eli Manning was the man last night. And so I am not afraid at all to admit I was wrong. Right now, actually, I think the Giants can feel pretty good about themselves. They are back to 500. They're 2-2. They've won their last 2 games. And although the pessimist would say that they started the season off against 2 very good teams in Detroit and Arizona, who is very good, clearly, and now they've played 2 awful teams in Houston and Washington. And I can't argue with you there, but I just got to say that I saw a good team yesterday. Eli Manning, by the way, also had a rushing touchdown. So Eli Manning had 5 total touchdowns. An outstanding day. And talk about outstanding days, I got to give a shout-out to my friend Tommy O'Day for this one. Giants tight end Larry Donnell has made himself into a name to know. This guy has apparently been a project of the Giants. I had never heard of him. I believe he was on the practice squad last year. And he has come in, he has been very impressive. He's becoming a viable fantasy option. Last night, 7 receptions for 54 yards and 3 touchdowns. Eli loves to go to him in the red zone. This guy, I mean, you may be sitting wherever you're sitting listening to this laughing about Larry Donnell being a viable fantasy option, but with the 3 touchdowns, that's 18 fantasy points. You add 5.4 fantasy points for the receiving yards, and you're talking about a 23.5-point day out of a tight end. That's Jimmy Graham numbers. Those are numbers that you can't beat. So the guy, let's just say if you're playing fantasy football, and hopefully no one in my league is hearing about this, because I do have Jimmy Graham, I'm not going to pick up another tight end, but if you need a tight end, Larry Donnell may be the answer right now. The Giants, extremely impressive yesterday, and there's no doubt about that. Finally, the last thing I want to get to here in this little bonus recap that we got for you here today is I didn't get around to this yesterday because there was just so much, but new tradition, we're going to have shows twice a week now. Then it's geared around NFL football. We're going to have Monday and Tuesday shows where we can recap football, and Thursday and Friday shows where we can preview football. Yesterday, I only got to preview the Thursday night game because there was just so much with the Jeter, and I had to do my Red Bulls rant, which I'm still very upset about, by the way. And for the future, we'd love to do NFL picks. Didn't get around to it yesterday, so we're going to do it right now. I'm just going to go through all the games. I'm going to make my picks, and then we'll talk about how great I did during the next show on Monday, which it'll be Monday. More on that later. So we start off Lions at the Jets in MetLife Stadium. Detroit is a 2.5-point favorite, and I would like the Jets. I'd love to sit here and tell you I like the Jets, but guys, after what I saw from Geno Smith last time, the Lions are rolling along. They just beat the Packers. I have to go with the Lions on the road. The Lions are a seriously good team. Packers at Bears, great game. Packers a 2-point favorite. And I'm going to go with those Packers. I think that the Bears' defense is going to be exposed by Aaron Rodgers, who has not played well yet. Aaron Rodgers is going to come out there and shut everybody up. Bills at Texans, and Houston's a 3-point favorite. Neither of these teams have impressed me, even though the Texans are 2-1. Arian Foster coming back for Houston, I believe. He'll make the difference as the Texans defeat the Bills. Titans at Colts, no-brainer. I'm picking the Colts, no explanation necessary. Panthers at Ravens. Baltimore is actually favored by 3.5, and I'm going with the Panthers in an upset. I really do like the Panthers. The Ravens don't impress me. This guy Forsett is their running back, not Mr. Ray Rice, obviously. And I'm sorry. I think that right now the Carolina Panthers are a more complete team. Buccaneers at Steelers. I'm going with the Steelers. Again, that's obvious. Dolphins at Raiders. The Raiders, awful, 0-3. The only winless team in the National Football League. And that's going to remain. It's not going to be easy because the Dolphins do have to travel across the country. But I'm sorry, the Dolphins are clearly a better team. The Raiders are awful. Jaguars at Chargers. Seems to be yet another uncompetitive game. This line is a whopping 13.5. San Diego, another playoff team at home against... Sorry, I was wrong. The Raiders are not the only winless team in the NFL. The Jaguars also 0-3. Taking San Diego. Falcons, Vikings. Falcons on the road going to playing an outdoor game in Minnesota. They're lucky to get to play that game now. It's not too cold. But, I think it's going to be Teddy Bridgewater. And I love Teddy Bridgewater. I always have. And I'm taking the Vikings in an upset. The game of the week, Eagles at the 49ers. And this is where the buck's going to stop for the Eagles. They have come from behind in all of their wins this year. The 49ers are off to a 1-2 start. They've been disappointing. They're angry. They got the game of the week at home at their new Diggs and Levi's Stadium. And so it's going to be a great game. I'm totally looking forward to watching it. I'm going with the 49ers. And then the Sunday night game, Saints at Cowboys. This game sounded a lot better before the season, but it's tampered off. The Cowboys are extremely unimpressive, 2-1. The Saints have been 1-2. They've been unimpressive, and so is their record. But I do like the Saints here, even though they're away from home. The Cowboys are just not very good. That's not a very good game for Sunday night. And then the Monday night game, Patriots at Chiefs. Monday night in Arrowhead is always an interesting thing, but the way the Chiefs have been playing, the Chiefs honestly look awful, and I'm taking the Pats. So that is my NFL Week 4 picks, and Monday we'll talk about how I did. Obviously, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Denver, St. Louis, Arizona, and Seattle all on byes this week. So it's actually a pretty light week for Week 4. Usually aren't that many byes in Week 4. And finally, I want to get to a little preview of Monday. We're going to have my very good friend on. I hope he's going to be a regular on this show, Ben Gordon. We're going to have so much to talk about Monday. Obviously, we'll have a full MLB playoff picture to talk about. We'll have 2 wild card games to discuss. We're going to have a tremendous amount. And then on top of that, we're going to have all these football games to discuss and a Monday night game to preview. So Monday we're going to go live at 5 o'clock. We're going to go half an hour. And then at that point, if we have more we need to talk about, we're going to stop the live show and we're going to then record a part 2. And that part 2 will go up when it goes up, whenever we're done. So again, Monday with my guest, Ben Gordon, who is part of the Civics, the band that plays our usual intro song when we have a regular episode. I wanted to mix it up for this bonus recap, but he is part of the band that produced Coolidge, a great song that I believe is a perfect intro and closing to this episode. So with that, Monday, 5 o'clock live show gives you something to look forward to. I think it's better than Monday Night Football. Anyway, it is 3:30, and your weekend is about to get started.